everybody, this is Max Farrell from DexFXMarkets.com, and in this video we're going to talk about the favorite tools on the charting system here. I want to cover this because it's very important because you're going to be using these tools all the time. You're either going to be using them on the Dex Atomic or the Dex Atomic X at some point, drawing extra lines or doing what have you. On the left-hand side of your chart system, you're going to see a whole group of tools. All right. Now, I could go through what every single one of these are, but I'm going to go through the ones that we refer to as the favorite and what that does for us. Okay. The first one is going to be the trend line. If you hover over it, see it says trend line, and you can see if you hover over it, it'll give you a little, I guess, a little explanation what it is. It's just a trend, but then it also gives you what they call a keybind. What it does if you have like extra information, like shift will straighten the line out, and I'll show you how that works here in a second. But what we want to do is there's a little arrow right next to it, and as you see, the trend line's there. Alternate T, the Alt key and T will create a favorite box, okay, or bring up the trend line, right? So if I'm here and I just hit Alt T, I have a trend line. You see? And then when I'm out there in the world, I can do whatever I want to do. If I want to press Alt T again, there, and I click one side and I click the other, there's the trend line again. Alt T again, but this time I'm going to hold Shift, and that's going to give me a very straight line. Okay, if I do Alt T again, and I want to hold Shift and I want to use a vertical line, it's nice and straight. It'll be on the vertical, the 45, and the horizontal, you see? So it kind of gives me, if I'm holding my shift key down while I'm moving my mouse, so you see how that works. Pretty enjoyable, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and remove those. So that gives you an idea of how to utilize. You can kind of see just faintly it says Alt T. The second thing on the trend line is the favorites tab. And what we're going to do is we're going to click that because we're going to be using that quite a bit. And you can kind of see it just pops up right there. Okay, now it's in this handy dandy little toolbox that's right. You could place this anywhere, just get it up out of your way or what have you. Okay, the next, if you're using the Dex Atomic, is going to be your gain box, and we've gone through how to use that gain box in other features, and we already have it set as a default to when I do it. It has this little white box. Yours may be wildly different, so. In link to this lesson, there'll be a link to the other lesson on how to get the gain box and set default here. I don't want to make this video too long. I'm going to undo that. Now I'm going to hover over Brush tool and highlight that, and we use this to kind of sometimes circle something a little bit, mundane, or point to something. There's arrow tools. There's all this other kind of stuff you can use in there. You can put your favorites in here too. Another one that I like is the box tool. Okay, because I sometimes like just to highlight something, give myself a little highlight of an area to look at. Okay. And lastly, and not least, is the text tool. And I like this because if I want to remember the cool thing about this network, this was a high risk statement. Okay, even though I misspelled it, doesn't matter. Clicking on any of the components now will give you a list of variables that you can utilize. Create the size bigger, create the size smaller. You can now move it around. If it has the anchor point on, you can move it or delete it or what have you. Okay, if you double click on it, you will see that you'll get a special box to be able to utilize in there, and then you can always go back in and change some of the secondary variables. Okay, and misspell it even further. There you go. All right, there you go. I'm terrible at this stuff. All right, but now you get the kind of gist. So these are some of your favorite tools that you're going to be wanting to use that'll be here. There's going to be many more that you could probably go down and investigate and look at. But for the most part, I mean, you could, it has emojis and stuff like that and things that you can mess with and, whatever you're going to do, right? So the point being is that the tools here are very important for you later on when you're doing replays and highlights. And even as you're trading, your chart will become if I have it on this USD JPY chart, and let's just say that I go to an auto USD, all that information disappears. But if I come back to the USD JPY again, for some reason it's not loading. I have a lot of stuff going on my computer right now. Let me filter back and forth here. All right, so I had to reload that chart there. Here it is. Like if I've written something here, I'll show you it in live. If I put some lines here, and I go to another chart, I'll come back to this chart, and there it is. All right, so your information will stay, and that's good because you don't have to reload. Because even if I go to a different loadout on my chart, it's still going to be here and have that information as long as it's the same one. If I close this out and I don't come back to this chart variable, or I reload the chart, if I go down to reload, it will then reset everything, of course. But this is really good as a beginning set for the tools and how to create your little favorite box here. But that's about it. And we'll go off to the next video now in this chart setup series where we'll talk about how to make loadouts and your watch list. I'm Max, this is Dex. We'll see you next time. And as always, trade well.